You are listening to the IAMKP podcast.
Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate this. It's Ritchie from Steps to Hope. Sorry,
Yeah.
better get that right. So how did it all start?
Do you know what? Steps to Hope kind of formed last year. We've been running a year, but for the build up to that, we've been going maybe about 3-4 years, kind of building momentum. It's through myself being an addict,
Right.
and we basically, I'm so nervous already. You know, myself being an addict, I kind of got mentored into recovery, and the idea was to set up a charity to help others.
And were you homeless at the time as well?
So I've been registered homeless most of my life. I've only slept out for one night, probably a handful of times in my life. Thankfully, I had girlfriends and grandmas and all that kind of stuff to take me in, but I've never had security as such, somewhere like a fixed mailing address, and I've been kicked out of every premises that I've ever lived. So I've never kind of been on the streets for any long period of time, but most of my life it's been no security or anything like that.
It's tough, man, eh? It's like, I don't know, it's not something I've ever experienced, so I can't really speak from any experience, but the reason I brought you on here is because it's like a massive issue in the UK, and especially Scotland. I think it's even more of an issue. And it's just always good to hear people's perspective, and I think it's better from you as well, you know, with not having that security in your life, and then actually starting this organisation. How did you get the name as well?
Actually, my daughter, Courtney, who's been heavily involved, she's now the secretary of the charity. She's 16 now. She named it Steps to Hope. You know, myself, I had no hope. I tried for years to beat addiction, and I never got any success, you know. So it was someone delivered hope to me and showed me a way out, and through steps. So that's kind of how the name came about.
It's kind of similar, like when you read it, you kind of think similar lines to like the 12-step program.
It's exactly that.
Is it like that kind of that kind of thing? Is it?
Obviously, that's copyright, and we're no a 12-step, but you know that's how I got well through the 12 steps. You know, I came through a 12-step rehab centre. Another addict who was in recovery took me through the 12 steps. I absolutely believe in the 12 steps and kind of fly the flag for it.
And it's kind of like, is it still sort of like a church-based or religious-based, is it?
It can if you want it to be. I'm 4 years, 4 months clean and sober, and I'm no religious at all. Couldn't tell you the first thing about religion.
Me either.
Yeah, so that's, you know, there's a spiritual aspect to the whole thing, but certainly when it comes to religion, I
think it's a good aspect of it. Like, I didn't know there was a spiritual aspect to it. I thought it was just more religious based, but that I think is better, you know, not forcing anything on anybody, especially when they're in a vulnerable position. You know, because that can be an easy time for someone to be impressionable. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you're an atheist or agnostic and you're standing firm that, you know, I'm not believing in God or whatever, then, you know, the spiritual approach kind of means that you can recover without having to go down the religious route. But if you're religious, you can still work it. Do you know, it's but you know, the idea about Steps to Hope was certainly our service users that were 90% of them that were coming into contact with, they're homeless, and they've got addictions. Do you know? So we believe at Steps to Hope that they're linked. Do you know? I didn't see, if you took a homeless guy who was an addict and put him in a house, I didn't think that's going to last very long. You know, my experience is with addiction, any bit of money I had went on it. Do you know, so I'm not going to be responsible and pay my rent and pay my bills and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, they will end up back on the street. So it has to we'll have to tackle the addiction side of it so that they can sustain long-term housing, you know.
It seems like that is something that people have trying to been tackled for ages. Like when you see videos in the 80s of like, you know, starving people in Africa, and they're still got the same videos up now, you know, from the 80s. And it's like, well, what is the actual, issue? Why are we not able to help and really help? And like you're saying, it's these things are tied together, addiction and the homelessness aspect of it.
Absolutely. Obviously you're talking about like poverty and third world countries, what I believe I specialise in is addiction. I've had a career in it all my life. So I
Good way of putting it.
I understand addiction now that I'm into recovery. I'd done a sleep rough a couple of years ago before we had registered Steps to Hope, just to try and raise awareness for getting to where we are now. And I woke up next to a homeless guy. I'd went to sleep and I woke up and there was this guy sleeping beside me. So I know this guy was homeless because, he physically slept beside me that night. I went home once the sleep rough was done. I got showered and changed, and he had shared a bit of his story and it was heartbreaking. So, I drove back up to see if I could see him again because I wanted to offer to pay for his hostel that night. I managed to locate him. I explained to him who I was, what I was doing, and I handed him £20 and says, your story was it was just heartbreaking and I want to pay for your hostel tonight. To which he replied, do you mind if I buy alcohol instead? So to me, what that illustrates is we've got a guy who is truly homeless. He was offered safety and shelter for an evening, yet addiction wins every single time. So what we stand for is treating the illness, treating the addiction, so that these guys can then go on and have a house.
I just can't even imagine what it's like to be rough, sleeping rough, and then the only way you can sort of medicate yourself is to be taking these, like, whatever you're on, I assume that heroin's like the big one. Absolutely.
And at Steps to Hope, we've got half our organisation who are in recovery. We've got gambling addicts, we've got heroin addicts, alcoholics. It really doesn't matter. But, the guys that are coming in for help, we can attach one of our service providers to them so that for identification purposes. But it's for me, if I was out there on the streets, and try to get help and then curling up in an alleyway at night, a bottle of wine, a heroin, a line, whatever, would definitely be appealing. And we're coming into a lot of difficulties that we've found over the last year. We're trying to get people housed. We're trying to pay for people's accommodation, and they've not got ID. So hostels and B&Bs and stuff won't take them. They've not got a fixed mailing address so that they can get ID sent out to. There's so many things that they've got maybe issues with the council, whether they've made themselves purposely homeless in the council's eyes, or they've fled and owed money. There's loads of different reasons why people can't get a house. And again, we've seen guys actually go to work in the clothes that they've slept in. They've secured a job, they've went to work, they've done a day's graft, and they've been told, right, can you give us your bank details? And they're saying, well, I've not got a bank account. Saying, well, you need to open one. That they've not got a fixed board to get bank details. They've not got any identification to open it. So
it's like perpetual sort of left, like
crazy.
Kept in sort of homelessness.
Yeah, it's crazy, and therefore they throw their hands in there and say, do you know what? Stuff it, I'm just going to go and get drunk or whatever. Do you know? And
it just seems like there's frustration at every point with that sort of thing, and it's just, of course, like you say, you're going to medicate yourself if you're just going to be dealing with this all the time. It's completely annoying to try and further yourself and better yourself and be met at every moment with sort of a fence or a fucking it's hard to get past it.
They're just up against it. And I know from my experience with being in addiction, I couldn't deal with anything in life. Whether I was happy, sad, angry, whenever I felt these types of emotions, I wanted to use on top of them. So I was changing the way I felt, regardless of how I felt. I wanted to change it because I just couldn't. I couldn't cope with life. So these guys who are out there, they probably didn't even know that because I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't until I got into recovery till I learnt it. But these guys have probably got trauma in their life, or they're just struggling with self and they can't deal with life and all that kind of stuff. So they numb themselves through substance, and then there'll be times I guarantee through most of them that they've tried to go, do you know what, I can't do this anymore, I can't sleep rough, I'm going to try and change my situation, but doors are closed.
Yeah.
It's so, I mean, we as an organisation who are clean and sober and have a roof over our head are struggling to open these doors. Do you know, so they've no chance.
Mm-hmm. What do you think sort of led you down your sort of addiction path?
I don't know. I think for a young boy, I was always a wee bit. I was definitely insecure. I struggled with. I didn't just low self-esteem. I had a lot of anxiety, all that kind of stuff. I didn't want to rubbish any family, but I had a dysfunctional upbringing, let's say, and all that combined made me quite nervous and quite. I just didn't like myself very much. So when someone gave me a line of cocaine at 15-year-old, all that disappeared. I felt amazing for the first time in my life. I felt confident and I could talk to people and I kind of got like an instant swagger.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was my answer. It was my solution. And from that day on, I just wanted more and more and more.
It seems like these like small towns and rough areas of sort of bigger cities, that's what's the only kind of option to feel better about yourself is like when you're taking these sorts of things. Yeah.
It's just, I think so. I used it the first 5 years. It was like a party. Absolutely loved it, but I was using to change the way I felt about myself. Even although at the time it just seemed like a big party, But I crossed that visible line and I used against my own will. I didn't want to use. I knew there was going to be major consequence if I used. I knew the police were coming, that I was getting kicked out, I would lose a job, I'd broken relationships, all these types of things. And I used to promise I'm not going to use. Yet there I was crushing up another line.
Was it something that you knew at the time that what you were doing and why you were using it, or was it only on sort of reflection when you started to look back at your addictions that was when you figured out what you were doing? Yeah,
it was a process and recovery that I was taking through. I had the inability to look at my own experience when I was in active addiction. I was kind of walking about blinded, and just cocaine was the answer. Yet getting into recovery, going through a recovery process, we'll call it, it was all about looking at myself, and looking at the way I felt and the way I behaved and all these type of stuff and start stripping me back. And it became clear very quickly that I was insecure as hell, man.
But we all are at that age, you know what I'm saying? It's a hard time to try and grow up as well, when you're that young and all you have is this outlet is addiction,
So I think what Steps to Hope offered is because I didn't know any of this until I met another addict who was in recovery, who was armed with the facts about himself. And he sat down and he shared about his own experience, his own use and his own, how he felt, his own behaviours. And I identified majorly with this guy. I had never been able to listen to anyone in my life. I did not respect authority, teachers. I was always getting kicked out. Any male figures in my life, actually, I would rebel against.
Right, okay.
So I couldn't be dealt. But then this guy who was the exact same as me basically just put it all on a table and there was nothing else for me to do but to kind of say, you've just described me, and through that spark, I could I believed that there was a way out. And I think Steps to Hope offer that. I think a lot of these guys are coming in riddled with shame and guilt. They've probably kind of get quite honest about their experience and all that. So it takes someone like myself or Callum or any of the volunteers to sit down and say, this is my experience. And it gives them a platform to kind of open up. And
would you say that's like very important for it, is to be honest about their what they've been doing and their experiences?
Absolutely. Probably my biggest defect of character that I have is I'm dishonest. Do you know what I mean? I've practiced it my whole life and I've got
steps to honesty.
Yeah, steps to honesty. When I say that, I'm talking about an addiction. Do you know? I've been practicing dishonesty and that my whole life. So you asked me what I've had for my dinner, I'll lie to you. Do you know? So it was all about someone else. see, I want you to like me. I've just met you the day. I really want you to like me. I'm that insecure. So you know, I don't want to tell you the bad things about me.
No.
Do you know? I want to paint this picture that I'm really cool and you'll like me and all that kind of stuff. So I'm keeping all these secrets, you know, and because I'm keeping them, I'm feeling shame and guilt about stuff that I've done and all that, and I'm just going to continue to use. Do you know, that's basically been my experience. So to have this guy completely just put it all on the table, I was blown away. I'm in my head, I'm going, why are you telling me this, Ken? And because I was always scared of consequence. I was always scared of, you know, the police getting called or the social workers getting called or losing something that I had, whether it be a job or relationship, all that kind of stuff. So I was always going to lie and make out that things weren't as bad as what they were, you know.
What was the sort of catalyst for you to go and treat your addiction?
Well, I'd tried for 10 years. I'd tried, and I think I broke down. I owed a lot of money out and all that kind of stuff. And suicidal, you know, I didn't want to be anymore. I just didn't want to be. And suicidal, I say that, this sounds weird, but it came to a place where it wasn't suicidal on a negative depression part. It excited me. I actually, I really fantasised over no being here anymore. Overdosing on cocaine was a major fantasy of mine because I just hated everything in my life and who I'd become and all that. So it was actually, it sounds quite dark, but it was actually a positive thing for me. And I opened up to my work and that about it, and they sent me to a psychologist who then said he can't help me. And I was put over to the treatment centre that Steps to Hope now refer to. And through there, I was introduced to mutual aid groups, recovery meetings, and that's where I met my mentor, who was another addict, 13 years clean and sober, the exact same as me, just he was clean and sober and I wasn't. So yeah, that was kind of how I got into recovery.
Is it like a sort of a set amount of weeks that you're in there, or is it just for till you sort of, you know, you get on some sort of path where you're not going to be?
Aye, so what? It's a 3-month residential treatment centre. So our service users will come to us, and we'll obviously chaperone them over to a recovery meeting, mutual aid group. If they want to go to rehab, there's a 3-month waiting list. So we'll obviously put a referral in for them. And then when a bed's available, they'll get taken in, they'll stay there for 3 months, and the rehab can help them with getting housed as well. So essentially, if they're doing work with us while on the waiting list, some of these guys are getting clean before they actually check into rehab.
Right.
You know, one of the guy that's in there now, he walked in there 39 days clean and sober, before he even went in, and now he's in there 3 months, so he's going to be walking out like over 4 months clean and sober with a house.
That's good. Good start, you know.
Yeah, so it's phenomenal. Yeah. You know, these guys have never had a day clean in their life. So to actually now be 4 months clean and sober and housed, it's mind-blowing.
It'd be a lot of pressure as well for you to sort of like, you know, you got a lot of responsibility at that point. And then for however long you've just been either homeless and addicted as well, and you just always medicate, and then you don't have to deal with those like people and stuff depending on you. And it must be hard to have all of that in a wonder when you're coming out of a treatment centre.
Yeah, but I think that, like I said, there's a process that we go through, and there's hope delivered, so that, you know, we come out here buzzing for life. Do you know what I mean? Went in there seriously having no purpose, didn't know who I was, all that kind of stuff. I just didn't want to be, and then all of a sudden I came out with a new support network around me, a new group of pals. All with a sincere desire to help each other, and there's like a homeless community, there's an addiction community, there's a recovery community. Do you know? And do you know, I was smacked right in the middle of the recovery community, and everyone around me just wanted me to do well. And that's what we're doing with our service users. You know, they come out and they are service users and we're service providers, but you can't help but form friendships with them, because we're disclosing. Like, we share back with them as they share with us, and that's where the trust is. That's why I think Steps to Hope's really unique. You know, we're obviously looking to get a hostel. That's kind of the dream. We've been offered a 4-bedroom right now within a hostel that's up and running. So it would be 4 beds. It would be exclusive to Steps to Hope. So the idea is, I can't get clean myself. I've tried that. My 10 years fell flat on my arse. It was with someone else, when an addict, I could get clean. So
has anyone ever got clean by themselves?
Well,
No.
I don't know if they have. They've certainly not got what I've got. So the idea is we get 4 guys who are absolutely desperate for a new way of life, desperate to get clean, desperate for change, and we put them in this room together, and they go out. We set them a challenge to maybe hit 90 meetings in 90 days. So they'll all go together. They'll bounce off each other. If one of them's struggling, they've got 3 other guys to say, come on, let's go. And they'll continue that journey until they're all waiting on a placement in rehab. So then a bed will become available. One of them will go over. We'll get a new guy in with them, and it'll there'll be a support network for each other. So that's kind of the what's been offered on the table now.
It's so important though, just to be able to do it with someone. You need that someone to spur you on when you're feeling like I just don't want to do it.
Absolutely. We've got heads on us that'll tell us, I can't be arsed anymore, and all this. I'll no bother going to my meeting. I believe that's what addiction is. It's kind of centres in your mind, Like it tells you to go and use, even although it's going to go Pete Tong if you do. So sometimes I learn early doors that I can't really trust what my head's coming up with. So I need to get another perspective, and that would be maybe from someone who else is in the same boat as me,
I guess growing up and sort of lying, it includes lying to yourself as well, I guess, is it? So you would have to have someone there to sort of just take you out of that.
Absolutely. I've been guilty of believing my own bullshit all my life, man. And justifying it and rationalising my own thoughts and it's all right, I can do this because, and when you play about with an idea in your head long enough, it starts becoming like a good idea. Do you know what I mean? And the end result was me at the end of the day left scratching my head while everyone else is crying and I'm getting kicked out. And it was all based on a good idea and good intentions.
So all the sort of organisations you've had to deal with, is it been government funded or is it just been charity organisations that have started up themselves?
So how do you mean Steps to Hope?
Like just when you were sort of recovering as well, like was it all just volunteer work that was helping you, or was it just like government funded?
No, the only, I think the treatment centre, LEAP they're called, Lothian and Edinburgh Abstinence Programme, they're based in Edinburgh. They're like obviously NHS and stuff like that, so I'm not sure who does their funding, but there was no organisation for me that got me clean and sober. It was literally another addict who was clean and sober. That was my answer. I tried GPs, psychologists, therapists, prison, done all these things, family, my love for my children, tried everything. It was the therapeutic value of one addict sitting with another was what got me clean and sober. And what blows my mind to this day was I actively tried to stop for 10 years and I was never once given the information in that 10 years that it's another addict in recovery that you need. Yeah. That information was not passed on to me. And I think it Steps to Hope's duty to fly that flag and say, I'm the same as you and I know a way out. Follow me. And if someone had intercepted me, maybe I wouldn't have been ready 6 years ago or whatever, but I think there's a lot of people ready on our streets of Edinburgh right now, but they've just no direction, they've no solution, they've not got the information that actually I'm an addict, I'm in recovery, follow me and you'll be all right, if you take on the directions.
Well, who better than someone that's been through all of it,
I have not been to uni. I think there's a lot of people who have studied addiction and all that kind of stuff, and it's quite a bold statement, but I believe any addict who's armed with the facts about himself is more qualified than anyone on the planet.
Makes sense.
It's my experience. I know the guy that mentored me wasn't, he didn't go to uni or nothing like that.
But it makes sense, like, if you have someone from uni and trying to engage with these people that are living on the streets and addicts, they're just going to end up resenting them, because like you said, you had problems with authority and all that. Even just the government and the police trying to intervene at any point, it's just a no-no. So it makes sense that it has to be another addict that pulls you through it.
Yeah, and it's more about judgment too. I remember going to the doctors and saying, I've got a problem with cocaine, I want to stop. And so I had made the appointment to try and get help. And the first thing the doctor says to me was, have you got kids? And I said, aye. And they went, do you use in the house when you've got kids? And instantly I'm on the back foot and I'm going, oh, no. I says, it's only really at the weekends that I'll really use in the kids. And so I cannot speak my truth.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I had to become for another addict.
Yeah. And so, like, you started Steps to Hope how long ago?
So we've just the 4th of April would be our year.
Right, okay. So you're quite relatively new.
Absolutely. We're very new, but we're creating massive waves already. I think there's a right hype about Steps to Hope and what we're doing. We're getting results. We're feeding between 30 and 50 homeless people every Monday evening at Monday's Munchies.
Because obviously, you like some photos from going out and about, going around doing the rounds around some like homeless spots that and you're handing out like is it coffees and all that. It's great to see. I mean, I the reason I started following the Facebook page is because of a mutual friend, and she was reposting some of the pictures, and I was like, well, this is something that I've wanted someone to come on and talk about on the show. Someone that knows firsthand what's going on.
Yeah,
and it's a great thing to see, especially in Edinburgh, because it has a huge homeless problem. But even problem, that sounds weird saying that. It's like a homeless. I don't know how would you even rephrase it, because it makes it sound like it's like a disease or a scourge. It's like homelessness. Yeah, I guess is the best way to say it. But it's great to see that you guys have started this organisation, and it's
heartbreaking. We drive about at like 6:30 in the morning, and we count how many people are out on a certain route. We'll drive round and count them, then we'll go and get them coffees. And the idea is to obviously make that connection with them, let them know who we are. We give them leaflets giving us about the information, the info that we deliver. So that didn't make sense. We give them info about Steps to Hope. I love nothing more than sitting next to a heater with them or sitting on an alley with them and just introducing myself as one of them. Yeah. Do you know, who's managed to change his life around. And I've sat down last year when I done a sleep rough. I had 7 different people crying on my shoulder within minutes, because they're ready to open up. They're just, because that's the whole sparky what Steps to Hope deliver. Yeah. I identify myself as one of them. And through sharing my experience, they'll open up instantly. So, yeah, the coffee run, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking seeing them, when they sufficient like warm clothing or sleeping bags and all that kind of stuff. But we're getting them through. They coffees and that leaflet. We've seen them come back up at the Monday. Yeah. And we're looking at now doing referrals for these guys. So, it's playing a good part in it.
It's kind of funny in Edinburgh, because I think there is a stigma towards homeless people in Edinburgh because there's money in Edinburgh. And then you see these people on the street, and even the UK as a whole, like trying to like rough sleeping places just so they can have like royal visits and all this sort of thing is just horrendous. How a nation treats its homeless people is a reflection of its, the civilization you're living in, and it's just disgusting to see that. Even people on nights out hitting homeless Absolutely. People who are sleeping rough. It's terrible.
Absolutely.
I don't know how anyone could do that to someone who's sleeping rough.
It's I was doing a coffee run 2-3 weeks ago, and one guy complete burst face. He got jumped when he was actually sleeping. We've got another service user who tells us that he gets regularly abuse thrown at him, people spitting at him, all that kind of stuff. There's this perception that we'll use the word junkies and scum and homeless people dirty, all that type of stuff, and the way I see it, the way Steps to Hope approaches, this is someone's son or daughter who's absolutely suffering, who's on the streets. They've probably, through their behaviour with their addiction, burnt all bridges with family, and like their families maybe had to step back and go, we can't have this around us, and that's fair enough. However, they're on their own. They're probably, and they're needing support. So we're all about love. Do you know, I was loved into wellness by my sponsor. And so when these guys come through, you know, we give them hugs. We sit down and have our dinner with them. Do you know, we laugh and joke. I give them my personal number and everything. And it's all about, do you know, showing these guys love and know that it's about trying to change the perception of the public, you know. Addiction's a choice, all that kind of stuff. You know, they choose to do it, and I can tell you right now, first-hand experience, I never woke up one morning and decided to screw all my loved ones over and go to prison and lose jobs. That was not part of the plan. Do you know, I believe addiction's an illness. And people do stuff. I'm not making excuses for anyone, I'm really not, because I had to own my shit at the same time when getting into recovery. I did have to own it, but at the same time, it was beyond my control. I thought I had a choice whether I was going to use or not, and I didn't.
And it seems like you guys are sort of nurturing these people, you know, to make them feel like, you know, they want to do something better and not go all through the things that you went through experience, you know. And it's good to see you sort of day to day doing this on your Facebook page. Yeah. What is the sort of main operation of Steps to Hope? Like, it seems like there's lots of individual things going on, but what is the main purpose of it? So
our purpose in writing is to aid and support the homeless and those suffering from addiction. We want to get people clean and sober, and we want to get them housed. We use our own experiences to do that. Now we've got wee mini stuff on the go, like you've mentioned, the coffee run, Mondays Munchies. You know, we're really trying to drive forward this 4-bed in the hostel, so that we can take, and it'll be turning over 4 people every 3 months. Right. So we'll be taking 4 people off the street. They'll stay there for 3 months, and then they'll go to rehab, and then we'll get another 4 people. That's kind of our focus right now to get that. But we do like an annual Christmas handout and all that. Like, so that's grew from 5 bags to 10 bags to 40 Santa sacks, 50 Santa sacks. Last year we'd done 60. This year we're going to do 70, and it's filled with brand new clothing, jackets, jumpers, sleeping bags. So we've got that. We obviously offer chaperone services to mutual aid groups. We've got sponsorship available. There's people who been through the 12 steps, who can take people through the 12 steps. We've got one guy, Scott, and I can speak about him because he's gave permission. He came up for a bowl of soup about 14 weeks ago. He came up for a bowl of soup, and he was in the evening news talking about his first day at high school. He's never had a day clean since then.
What?
And he's...
How old is he now?
So he's now 46, I think he is, 46.
That's insane.
I hope he's 46, he'll kill me if I'm wrong. And
22, you bastard.
And he came up for a bowl of soup, and he's now 100 days clean and sober. And we just picked the keys up with him 2 days ago to his house.
That's amazing.
He texted me the following morning and says, I can't believe I've just woke up in my own home.
That's crazy.
Beautiful. A guy who felt the need to go to a soup kitchen just to keep his head above water and get something to eat, riddled through addiction, is now 100 days clean and sober, housed, about to graduate from treatment. I mean, loads of us are going up from Steps to Hope to watch this guy stand on a podium on a mic and give a speech with a shirt on and give a speech about how his life's changed. We checked him in there as a service user. He'll check out as a service provider.
Wow.
He'll now join our organisation and use his own experiences to help those who are still out there. I mean, it's beautiful.
What's the sort of hardest points of what you're doing? Like when you're interacting with, like, say, employees and all this type of thing. What, like, just as an example, but what's the hardest part of the job to try and get these people into the places where they need to be?
So they've got to be ready. People talk to us about results. I wanted to stop, but I wasn't ready to stop. So
is it true what they say? You have to be at the lowest sort of...
You've got to hit bottom. You've got to hit bottom. And that's inside, by the way. That's no losing the job or losing the wife or losing the house. That's just out external stuff. It's bottom's an inside job. And something has to drop inside and you go, I can't. And when that happens, they can then straighten up and recover. That was my experience. So I don't know if It's challenging, it's upsetting because, you know, I want it for them all. We get like 50 guys coming through and I want them all housed and clean and sober, but they've got a lot of using left in them. Do you know what I mean? One guy in particular, you know, I'd done a lot of one-to-one stuff with him. We got him housed and we were paying his accommodation and we got him into long-term housing and I'd done a referral and to go into rehab. And do you know, I just watched his coffin getting carried into a crematorium 4 weeks ago now. That was heartbreaking. Do you know, this is what we're up against. You know, addiction is going to take people's lives. They might not die next week, but they're going to die before their time. You know, and it kills a lot of folk. And I think about 4 days after, another one of our service users passed away, and so they had a funeral within a week apart of each other. That's the most heartbreaking part, because it doesn't need to be. But do you know, we can't just walk into pubs and start dragging who we think's an alcoholic away from the bar. Do you know, they've got to hit bottom themselves and want it, and in order for us to engage with them and help them. Do you know? So that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it would be, man. I don't know how you can do it as well. Well, you have to, because there has to be someone that does it, you know.
But on the flip side, the ones that open up their eyes and recover,
makes it worth it.
I said it before in another interview. It's like a front row ticket to watching someone's life improve. It's better than any substance I've ever took in my life. Watching another addict recover.
And I guess it's when someone that doesn't even really believe that it's possible for them, but they're going to try anyway, and you kind of know like this is going to happen ahead of time. If you just, you know, put in this and that, and that's follow this, and you know, do this. Yeah, it's just perfect to see that.
And I totally agree. Because I didn't believe. I didn't know anything about mutual aid groups or doing service, helping others was the way forward, and all these being honest was going to help me get clean and sober. I didn't believe in all that or really buy into all that. What I did believe in was the guy that was sitting in front of me who was willing to mentor me into recovery. I believed in him. I believed in what he was telling me was the truth, and therefore I was willing to go with what he said. And I think that's what we're providing. We're providing, you know, we share our own experiences and said, see if you just follow and then bring your own ideas in, for God's sake. Stick with these ideas. You can recover. And you know, I just hope that Steps to Hope continues to grow. You know, we've got fantastic volunteers that's joined this organisation. You know, we've got people who are in recovery who have been someone 17 years sober. I mean, joined our organisation. We've got people for all walks of life that's joined us. We've got people who have had nothing to do with addiction or homelessness. They've just got massive hearts and want to give back to the community. And throw all that into a mix, we've got something special going here, eh? And like I say, I have to kind of hit home again. You know, this 4-bedroom, if we can, they're wanting £1,500 a month for it, which is a lot of money, and that's way out of our budget. You know,
especially if you're just a charity, a small one at this point, but it's going to get bigger. Yeah,
well, we've started to ask people to set up a £1 a month standing order. I'll give you the details when we're done today.
Of course, you can promote anything.
I'm speaking to them in Greg's and everything. I'm like, just do you know, if everyone just gave £1, we'd be able to change or potentially change 4 people's lives every 3 months. You know, and offer them a new way of life. So that's kind of the focus. But the long-term dream would be to have a Steps to Hope hostel and all that kind of stuff.
It must be quite hard to deal with it when you're sort of interacting with sort of kids that are homeless. Is that something that you have to deal with all the time?
So yeah, but I mean, our service users vary in age. Youngest one I've came into contact was 17-year-old.
Right.
You know, just I've got a daughter at 16. You just can't imagine being sleeping rough at that age. You know, they've all got their stories. They've all been through a lot. You know, and using seems like the only good thing in their life. Do you know, even although paradoxically it's destroying them.
So do you think encouraging them and sort of making them see that there are other good things in their life as not just this, is a way of getting past that?
Absolutely, it's about hope. You know, I remember the guy I was talking to about that passed away. I have never seen so much enthusiasm out of him when he spoke about his graduation. He fantasised over graduating. you know, and been handing a wee scroll certificate and us all there to kind of cheer him on. And he was beaming. He was smiling with that prospect. And it was beautiful to see him starting to believe that actually you can achieve, you can do this, you know, you can have a new way of life. You know, it's just unfortunate that you know, it was addiction took him far too early. But yeah, it's about, you know, showing them through our own, being an example. I think was probably the best thing that I've ever witnessed, was an example of someone. Like I said at the start, I can lie to you, no problem. But when I conduct myself in a manner which I didn't need to tell you. Yeah. You know, I often use the analogy, I've got a skinhead. You know, I didn't need to tell you that, you can see. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like when people show with their feet what they're all about, and show me through example, you know, that's more powerful than anything that someone's going to tell me.
And how's the reaction with like the volunteers that are coming into the program? Is it like the numbers becoming more and more?
Oh, absolutely. I think we're hitting 40 volunteers. We're getting. I got a message a few weeks back from someone in London saying, "Is there a Steps to Hope in London?" Because I want to join. And I'm sure someone from Australia messaged and says that they're coming back to Edinburgh shortly, right, okay, and they want to join. And yeah, there's a bit of a movement going, it feels. But I think our page is quite exciting. Do you know? I think we're posting exciting stuff, and we're following certain people's journeys and all that. And
I think people can get sometimes put off by, like, some people see it like as branding, you know. But that's the way you spread the information, is to have individual communities set up these sort of things that have the same philosophy, you know, having like a Steps to Hope in London, Steps to Hope in, you know, like Andy's Man Club, like there's different parts of that all around the world that helps with mental health, the UK, should I say. So that's how you spread that. Yeah. You know, you shouldn't see it as some form of capitalism where you're trying to, you know, expand your brand and that's all you're caring about. It's not.
The thing is, we're non-profit, so we're not marketing anything. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we benefit in any way. The only benefit that we might get is we might save a few more lives if everyone knows who we are and what we offer. Do you know what I mean? And what better way to do that than to demonstrate what we can actually do? It's a bit of a bold move to follow a service user's journey, and it's something. It's not something we took lightly. You know, we spoke about it a lot. Scott, who we've documented his story from start to where he is, you know, was really keen to do it, but it's not something that we were planning on doing with all our service users. But we want to show people that we have got a real answer here. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, if I was selling trainers to you, then it could be seen as marketing, but we're non-profit. You know, every single penny we get goes on macaroni cheese to feed these guys.
It's a breakfast of champions. I don't know what you're talking about.
They actually didn't like it. They've been complaining. A few of them say, "What is it tonight?" And we're like, "Oh, pasta bolognese." They're like, "Oh, no again." And I'm like, so what we've done is last week, which I think is pretty unique for a soup kitchen, is we got one of our volunteers to go round with a bit of paper and for them to write down meals that they would like.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you always see people like sort of looking down on people who are maybe begging out of a shop, and you know they're kind of, they don't want to just eat the regular thing that people are bringing out to them, you know, because they're still, you know, you got to have nutrients and survive. You know, even though you're homeless, you can't. No, the whole beggars can't be choosers thing's not true, you know.
Well, they might not like something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they might not. In fact,
it's ignorant just to think that someone might just like a pasta bake, you know.
Yeah. Well, they're homeless. You can just have it. You know. So we've took a list down of stuff that they would potentially like. It was funny. If Cal remember this, about 3 years ago, we handed out the Santa sacks, and one guy actually held up the jacket.
Just come in a wee bit closer.
Okay.
On the mic.
One guy actually held up a jacket that we had handed out, and he says, "It's quite smart, but I didn't like the collar." I thought, what? We're just trying to give them something warm, but do you know what? Maybe that's his taste, and he's entitled to that. Do you know, still have a bit of dignity and pride. Do you know why not? So
we're all individuals, and you know, you got to express that somehow.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic to see. But I was going to bring up, you know, you were talking about the sleeping rough thing. I wanted to talk to you about like your thoughts on like the sleep in the park thing that they have every year. I mean, it's a bit self-serving. I think sometimes, but at the same time, it's still bringing attention to the homelessness in Scotland. You know, it's only going to be a valuable thing.
Absolutely. You know, we at Steps to Hope are not going to engage in any controversy with any other organisation. Social Bite do amazing work.
Yeah.
You know, they have massively raised the issue of homelessness. And raised so much funds and building homeless villages, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a hot topic, and a lot of that's down to Social Bite. What I will say is I'm a huge Liam Gallagher fan, by the way. Like, I'm actually love
Skinheads
love
that likes Liam Gallagher.
Yeah. I love Oasis, and I would love nothing more than to sleep rough in a park listening to Liam Gallagher singing and stuff. The last 2 years that I've slept rough has been a solo act.
Right.
One was Christmas Eve to Christmas Day, so I stepped away from my children. I didn't get to wake up with them on Christmas Day, watching them open their presents. I never had the safety and security guards manning the park. Do you know, I never got a bedtime story read to me by John Cleese or whoever it was that read the story.
Does that happen?
Yeah, well, in the sleep in the park. Yeah. So I'm no Irving Welsh, I think, done it 1 year as well.
Maybe
I'm wrong. That would be pretty cool.
And I'm not train spotting.
But I think what it's obviously, I think the idea behind it is to obviously raise massive awareness and funds. It's definitely not a true reflection on what it's like to sleep rough, though. That's my point. You know, Christmas Eve to Christmas Day, I was offered heroin 3 times, alcohol 7 times. I was offered joints.
When you were sleeping,
so I done it as a sponsorship for Steps to Hope. Someone wanted to fight me, so you know, that was a true reflection of what these guys are facing on a daily basis. And through all that, no wonder they say, "Fuck it, I'm going to use." Yeah. You know, so yeah, there's an amazing different homeless organisations, and I think we could all benefit from each other's services. But I think what makes us unique is we are the service users.
Do you think what do you think is going to bring more attention to homelessness and highlight it better? Like, what do you think people can do in their day-to-day lives?
Give them a Steps to Hope leaflet.
Right.
You know, I think more, and I think it's already happening. I think it's certainly what I can see. I think more love needs to be shown, more compassion. Do you know, I like feeling superior to other people. There's a good feeling about that, thinking that I'm better than someone. Do you know, I start going, at least I'm not as bad as them,
right.
and I can walk away thinking I'm doing well within my life. I've done that all my life as well, by the way, even though I was in the gutter. So, you know, I think people just having a wee bit of compassion and love and understanding that these people are not in a place where they want to be. Do you know, they're sleeping on the streets, riddled with addiction. That certainly wasn't their dream when they were wee kids. Do you know?
No one wants to be homeless.
No, I don't know. I'm undecided. Giving homeless people money is the answer. Do you know? I think if I was homeless and you gave me money, I'm going to buy substance with it. Do you know? Maybe information and something to eat is the way forward. But yeah, I don't know.
I think I saw an interview, I'm not sure who it was with, but it was someone who used to be homeless, and he still says he's still going to give money to the homeless, even if they're going to use, you know, or they're going to just drink alcohol or whatever, because that's the only bit of good thing that they get in their day. Yeah. And it's like, I get what he's saying, and I generally will give money. You know, no, I don't care what they're going to do with it. Yeah. You know, it's up to them. Yeah. And you just give them the money. But at the same time, it's like, are you facilitating someone killing themselves? Yeah, but it could be seen as enabling them and all that kind of stuff. That guy I told you about that I slept rough with, and I gave him £20 and he says, can I buy drink with it? I gave him a hug and started laughing. I says, do what you want with it. Do you know? I just think if you're talking about tackling homelessness and addiction, I don't think piling these guys with money is going to be the answer. Although you could argue that it might bring them to the rock bottom quicker if they've got enough funds to keep using. You know, they might get brought to their knees a lot quicker. But I don't know. We've not got an answer to tackle global homelessness. What I do know is we've got an answer to tackle
someone who's suffering through addiction who's ready. If they're ready, then we're ready, and we'll walk every single step of the way with them.
Mm-hmm. That's great, man. It's just I've definitely seen a difference in the last 2 years I've stayed in Edinburgh, and just the sort of the amount of people that are now stopping to talk to. I mean, Easter Road's got a fair few homeless people living on there, and they'll just stop and talk to them when they come out to the shop. And give them a sandwich or whatever, go and get them something. Or even some people have asked what they would like as well.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that. It seems like there is more of awareness coming.
Absolutely.
Like it's sort of at a grassroots level, but it's becoming bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, from a selfish point of view, there's no better feeling. Do there really isn't it? Getting someone who's struggling a wee bit, whether it's a hot drink or a sandwich or sitting down and just giving them a wee bit of your time, showing them a bit of love, you walk away feeling absolutely amazing. And I'm absolutely buzzing for Steps to Hope. I love it. I can't wait. Although it's sad that in this day and age we've got 30 to 50 people having to come to a soup kitchen to eat. I can't wait to see them. I can't wait to sit down with them and laugh with them. These guys are hilarious. They're very...
I guess the greatest day for you is when you don't have a job anymore.
What like
with Steps to Hope,
Well,
when you've sort of accomplished what you're doing, but it might never happen. But that's the sad fact about what you're doing as well. The fact that you're doing something great, but it's never going to end.
I couldn't agree more. I think there was a campaign that I seen not that long ago that was End Homelessness. As long as you're going to have substance, drugs on the street, alcohol issues, you're never ever going to end homelessness. People are going to either be antisocial and get kicked out their house. They're not going to pay rent. They're going to, they'll be evicted for various different reasons, and they'll take to the streets through their addiction. So
would you say the main reason for homelessness is addiction?
Our service users, 90%, if not more, are addicts and addicts needing support. I'm not saying all of them. Some of them are like just circumstance and all that kind of stuff.
But could it be that they're using because they're homeless, or are they homeless because they're using?
That's a great question. But then again, I think if you were to say, if it was because they were homeless, if they're an addict and they've now became an addict because they were made homeless, they're still an addict now. They're never ever going to step back into being all right because they're now an addict. If they're qualifying themselves, if they're diagnosing themselves as I'm an addict, then it really doesn't matter if it was because they're losing a house or whatever first. But I just don't see it. I don't see us ever eradicating homelessness. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But as long as there's substance there, people are going to get addicted to it, and that's going to rule their life. And they'll make decisions based on that.
Do you have any sort of thoughts on, I think it's the Dutch or some other countries, they'll give you like clean needle exchange points and all this sort of thing. So they're sort of and clean places to inject and all that. Do you think that's a good solution?
But it's not a solution. But it's definitely, it's about people keeping safe. Like I said, I mean, there's so many people dying through addiction and no taking substance in a safe way. I mean, you could argue that that's enabling people and all that kind of stuff. But the fact remains, if I'm an addict, I'm going to use. Right, that's point blank. I have no solution in my life. I'm going to use. So there is organisations that provide clean and safe environments to do that, and needles and all that kind of stuff to do that. And
it seems like a more compassionate way to deal with people, I guess.
Yeah,
as well.
I don't know if it would be maybe nice to have a recovered addict sitting with them saying, fancy a wee chat, by the way, why would you do that? Maybe Steps to Hope should hand some leaflets in there.
Leaflet on the outside of the building.
I was actually speaking to someone a couple of days ago who does that very thing, and it's about keeping people safe. They're going to do it. They are going to do it. Do you know what I mean? And
it seems like that's the given. Like they are going to do it. Yeah. That's why they're in this position and they're homeless, is because they'll do it regardless of anything.
And if they're homeless and they've not got anywhere to go and do it,
It's dangerous.
they're going to use anywhere. They're going to use anywhere. So that's where you end up with needles in parks and stuff like that. And you know, so there's a duty of care to the general public. And I think these guys are offering a service to say, you can come here, you can use this in a safe way. And do you know, it's definitely not a solution, but it's definitely keeping people who are going to be out there using safe and the public safe.
Yeah, that's the big issue, is not having people fearing for their safety when they're next to like dirty needles and all this sort of thing. If you are giving them a safe space to do that, then that takes care of that. But the way I've seen it done is it's not like trying to like, you know, outcast them and put them on the edge of somewhere and you can't see it, you don't know what's happening. It's just an actual compassionate sort of way they're doing it.
Yeah. And that's what I think. I think if you were to boil, what's going to get someone better, man, is someone who's got a big heart, someone who's ready to love them and challenge their behaviours in a loving way. Do you know, that was certainly, like I said, you couldn't have told me anything. But when another addict told me some harsh truths in a loving way, I was ready to receive that information and look at myself, do you know, try and change.
It must be tough having to see people in the winter as well sleeping rough, because it can be fucking freezing over here, man. And just to see these people in these corners piled underneath whatever they can find to cover themselves, it is heartbreaking to see.
It's just that you don't know, I can't even imagine doing that, you know, week in, week out, months, years. There's a guy who's just recently been moved away for his bench. He was on that for, I think, 7 years or something. He's just been moved, but we do a coffee run with him regularly. We've found his new spot, thankfully, but it's awful. You know, I done it at Christmas Eve. I was, you know, I wanted to cry, and I knew I was going back to my house with my children, and you know, I had loved ones and friends all around me, and I knew I only had hours to go. It was a tough gig, do you know. I'm actually planning on doing 7 days next year,
right?
And people have actually said, when are you doing it? Are you going to do it in the winter? Are you going to do it in you know, I think
Summer.
I think I'll do it peak July or so. No, what I've said is I'll put the months 1 to January to December in a hat, and I'll just pull out a month and pull out a date and just do it.
Did you document it when you were doing it? Like,
I never.
Right,
it was actually spoken about our chairman, Paul McGowan. Sorry, Paul McGowan. He was talking about possibly doing that. But again, I would have to be maybe a journal or something, because I didn't want to take my phone with me. I didn't want people with me. Do you know, I didn't. It's
going to take you out the experience if you have like a camera with you and a bunch of people there.
So I'll just chat to you.
Yeah. Just yap. And I guess it'll take people out from opening up to you as well if you're sitting there with a camera and speaking to it.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So I think it's this, hopefully today, and the paper, the evening news article that we've done, and you know, the coffee runs that we do in the morning, the social media page, you know, hopefully we'll get our name out there. Do you know, obviously we want to secure funding, of course we do. That's a major headache to try to run an organisation that's non-profit. Awareness, getting our name out there, but you know, if one person stumbles across us who's absolutely ready. You know, I got a phone call, someone's coming to see me on Monday through our Facebook page, and they admitted for the first time that they've got an issue, and it was difficult for them to do that, you know, and that's kind of what the effect of our social media and our reach is having on people. It's allowing them to look at themselves and go, I need to do something here. Do you know, there's probably so many people, not even on our street, sitting in a house with loved ones, but they can't be honest, or they're not able to, they didn't know who to turn to. And we want to obviously provide a place to say, come and, we're the same as you. Do you know, there's no judgment here. Come and see us. And
you're building a community, essentially.
Absolutely. And Steps to Hope, my vision, Steps to Hope will only look like Steps to Hope this time next year or the year after. You know, it's going to keep growing.
What are your plans for it eventually? Well,
thanks to you setting up that £1 standing order, we'll and anyone listening, we'll get that room, and then through that, hopefully we start turning up good results, getting people clean and sober, joining Steps to Hope, and through that we might, you know, push to get our own Steps to Hope hostel, where even if we had 10 beds, we can have mutual aid groups coming to us, holding in-house meetings, launching a soup kitchen from the hostel, and getting people properly mentally prepared for going into rehab. I walked into rehab, I had no idea what I was walking into. It's so daunting to attach. Anyone who's got into recovery will probably identify with this. For me to announce myself as I'm Ritchie and I'm an addict, to attach that word addict to my name, it was horrible. It was such a scary concept to do that. I'm Ritchie, I'm a compulsive guy, because it's over your throat. You're actually saying it out loud. It becomes real, and so many people are suffering because they just can't get that out. Do you know what I mean? So,
do you still identify as that?
Absolutely, a recovered addict.
Because there's people like Russell Brand's probably the most famous example, but he still says, after years of being clean, he's an addict, and I think that then becomes his identity. Yeah, like he can't really separate himself from that either, because that's what he's making his money off of as well, essentially. But it's hard for him to be himself because he still identifies as an addict. I
think I'll always identify myself as a recovered addict, unless I go back out the door, of course. But I think, But I think addiction can manifest. People, you hear addiction, you said that right at the start. Heroin, that's people instant thought, or alcohol, or cocaine, whatever, crack, whatever it is. But addiction can manifest into so many areas. Yeah. So it can, even if you get clean and sober, it can manifest. I mean, you should see I've got so many jackets coming out my ears, man. Can it manifest into that's addict behaviour? Do you know what I mean? Like
what kind?
When I know, didn't when I like something. I really fucking like it. Yeah. Do you know, that is what defines me as a fucking addict. I want more and more and more, whether it be trainers, jackets, women, jobs. Do you know, it can manifest into so many different areas. Do you know, so that's probably where Russell Brand's coming from. Do you know, he's an addict, and maybe he's no using, but it's probably manifesting it.
I guess it's just directing it into something that's healthy. Would that be something?
Absolutely.
That's right?
I definitely need a Steps to Hope meeting, because I'm addicted to that right now. I'm addicted to helping others. It's no making my life unmanageable. My living room is like a shrine to Steps to Hope. There's like raffle prizes, and you can't really sit on my couch or anything like that. So it is maybe a wee bit unmanageable, but I'm not getting lifted by the police anyway, so that's quite good.
Yeah, you got a healthy addiction now. So was it jackets and Steps to Hope is your addiction, is it?
I've not bought a jacket in a while. That's kind of, I'm recovered for that as well.
But it is, like you say, addiction isn't just drugs. Like, it manifests itself in so many ways. People can be addicted to cheeseburgers. People can be addicted to sex as well. That's a big one.
Absolutely.
But people laugh at that one as well. Like, people think that's not a real thing, but it definitely is. There's that part of the mind. You've seen addiction firsthand. Like, how that switch works in the brain. Yeah. And you can see it when it's, regardless of what it is. And
it's all right to really, really like something, or even to really love something, but when it's completely dominating your thinking and it's breaking down relationships within your life and making your life that unmanageable that, you're compelled and driven to do something, you've got a problem, regardless if it's sex or drugs or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I think for me, I just had to be honest with myself and say, is this thing absolutely ruling and dominating my thinking, and is it destroying my life? And 100%, do you know what I mean? And so I had to kind of make changes in my life, and I think Steps to Hope offers that platform for people and shows, it is about change. I thought I had a cocaine problem. I never had a Ritchie problem, right. And it was all about changing Ritchie.
Okay.
And how the hell do you do that? Because I wake up with a Ritchie head, you know what I mean? And I listen to the thoughts that Ritchie comes up with. So I'm never going to get really much further past Ritchie, so I needed a new perspective from someone who was maybe a bit weller than me and his thinking was a bit weller than me. And I started to go with that rather than self, and I started to straighten out mentally and physically.
Would you say that could apply to sort of all addicts, or was that just specific to yourself? with the the Ritchie problem, not the cocaine problem.
Absolutely. I think Callum's got a Callum problem. And absolutely, do you know, it's
but you have to figure out what the issue is and get help.
And that's what the recovery process is, do you know. So we're like opening the gates to say, there is there is a process to find help. So we're basically chaperoning people to it.
You're like the first point of contact,
absolutely,
and you're sort of then guiding these people.
No one told me. That's what I still, like I said earlier. No one told me. I banged down so many doors saying I'm screaming for help.
Yeah.
I can't stop. And using that day and the day after, Ken, and still saying I want to stop. No one told me the information. It's another addict in recovery that you need.
It's just insane in this day and age that can happen.
It's like a big secret.
Yeah,
it's like a big secret.
It's like a bunch of people can't really get told what's up with them from anybody.
Yeah, and God bless, and there's so many other avenues. I'm not saying this is the only avenue. I'm just saying this is the only thing that worked for me. Do you know, when I went to GPs or whatever, you're offered maybe antidepressants or some other methadone or Valium or dihydro, whatever it is, and I'm not speaking out of turn. Because that could help people, but for me, I'm an addict. Give me substance and give me loads of it. Do you know what I mean?
You're going to get addicted.
I'm going to. That's great. You're offering me some more substance. Do you know what I mean? We're here and we're free.
Yeah,
we're clean and sober. There's not a prescription drug in sight. And I like myself, and I think we're starting to see our service users starting to like themselves. I think one of the quotes recently was, "I hated myself. I lived in hell, and I wanted to die. Now I'm getting up and I'm laughing and I'm smiling." Do you know, what a beautiful process. Do you know what I mean? And I think the more people that start getting that kind of same result, the more steps to hope will be heard, and we'll keep growing.
It seems like a great organisation. You're actually doing something, and it's at a grassroots as well. It definitely feels that way. You guys are doing something great. I think we've been an hour, so
cool,
we'll probably just wrap up there. If you want to say anything, direct people to Steps to Hope, how people, if they want to volunteer, all that sort of stuff, and if they want to donate as well.
Perfect, that's great. Yeah, so obviously we've got our Steps to Hope Facebook page, which we're encouraging everyone to like and share, follow us. We've got our Instagram that I really need to start posting more stuff on. If
Snapchat's what all the kids are doing.
Snappy, I call it snappy chatting. My daughter's like, on this uncool dad. But yeah, I think,
an alligator.
I think if people know anyone who's struggling, they didn't need to come up themselves. If they want to bring a family member, a friend as a support network to come up and see us, there's no obligation. They can just sit and have a cup of tea if they want. They can leave.
If they think someone's struggling with sort of addiction, can they bring someone along?
Yeah, bring them along. So at Monday's Munchies, we're there from 7 till 10 at 14 Johnson Terrace, which is St Columbus Church near Edinburgh Castle. You can contact us through Facebook Messenger. The phone number's on there as well. We've got email. We really need funding. We need people to get, whether it be business or people who just want to help. We're looking for £1 a month donation, standing order set up so we can secure our 4-bedroom. If anyone wants to volunteer, you don't have to be an addict in recovery. You can just be someone who wants to help out. You can just get in touch, and there's a process that we go through. It's very quick and easy.
Facebook that you would get in touch with?
Phone, everything's directed to me anyway. So if you message us through Facebook, it'll come to me. If you phone, it'll come to me. Email.
You must be a busy man.
Aye. Thank God I like it. So yeah, it's if you know anyone, I would say probably if I was to put anything out there today, we want loads of money, but more importantly, if you know anyone who could use our services and needs someone to talk to or whatever, then definitely get in touch.
And even if people are not listening from Edinburgh or Scotland, like even if you're in the UK or England, like if you're hearing what you're saying, and you can start this somewhere else, with get in contact with you, obviously, and they'll take you through your ethos with them, and it's great to see if it starts popping up around the the UK and eventually the world.
Absolutely, imagine that. No bad for an addict.
Anyway, thanks man for
Thanks,
coming
man.
on. I appreciate it. And yeah, for everyone listening and watching, I'll see you next week.